Yeah, bruv, the game ain't hard when you got the trump card. It's all rigged and I'm calling more games than Bob Uecker. Changing the outcomes like Duke Nukem to a new future. Win some, lose some, bag some, choose none. Will the aliens come save the day? Are we going to listen to what they say? The uranium, cranium, aliens popping up like circadians. Got me spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean and Sylvanians. Bloodlines, overtime, dragon descendants. Scripting bread and circus lizards in attendance. Serpent queens, breaking dreams, dragging me down.
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday.
I'm talking about the number 92. If you didn't know, well, now you do.
Mic check.
What's in the hearse? I am who I am. Man with a plan, where you at with the rebellion. 1 in a million, us against a billionaire reptilians. Look at the word rebellion, spells out the same as the rebel lion. Ain't even trying, ain't living, you're dying. Well done to the skeleton. No time for the rebellion. Strawmen led by spellmen, dialectic Hegelian. Everyone's worked up, waiting for the aliens. Problem, reaction, solution, little contribution. The script tells that they cast spells like nuclear fusion, spreading confusion, lie distribution. Old as hell, ain't even some new shit.
Thank you, Truth Spirit. Good to see you, Susan. Janice. King Bags.
The uranium, cranium, aliens popping up like circadians. Got me spontaneously training in the Palladium gymnasium. Ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean Transylvanians. Will the aliens come save the day? Are we gonna listen to what they say?
All right. Welcome back, ballers. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for the mic check. Happy Tuesday night, best night of the week, with myself, AJ, Rambo, and Cody. First things first, mic check. Rambo, Cody, can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you, Cody. Appreciate it. My name is AJ, Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's and Ball. You guys can find all of my work on YouTube, where we're streaming from tonight. If you guys are new, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. We really appreciate you all. You guys can also find me on Instagram, same spelling, Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's and Ball. Feel free to send me an email at wordplaybook, 3 O's and book at gmail.com if you guys are interested in any of the content that I've written over the years. Cody, please let the viewers know where they can find you and support you.
Yeah, thanks again, everyone, for being here. Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Rambo. I appreciate you both being here and everyone else being here with us tonight. If you guys looking for me, you can find me on YouTube, Decoding with Cody, and also on Instagram and X. I'm also going by that name. And then buymeacoffee.com/decoding with Cody is the support link, and look forward to another great show tonight.
We appreciate you, Cody. Thank you again for joining, as always. Rambo, please.
Yeah, I agree. I second that. Thank you, Cody, for joining. I know it's tough for you. You can't always get it here. I appreciate the sacrifice and overcoming the inconvenience that you have to share your great knowledge with the community. And AJ, you're decoding as well, and for agreeing to host us and promote us both. That is deeply appreciated. And thank you for everyone who's watching and who will watch in advance in the future. And this is where I can be found, patreon.com/thetruthcodes. There's one tier. It's a $5 tier for the month, $5 a month. There's some free content. I put up I think approximately 3-minute video. It's a excerpt from a full 30-minute video. Pages can see the full 30-minute video. And there's a free excerpt. It's a very good excerpt. Gives you an idea. There's some some content for free. Also for free, you can see part of the archive that I have. There are some videos from the archive you can see if you join for free. And but the $5 does really help me a lot, a lot more than free. But I'm also on Instagram.com/thetruthcodes.
Yeah, once again, I say it every week, you guys. He also has his free tier. So at the very least, make sure to sign up for the free tier if you guys are interested in seeing more of what Rambo's working on. He's also posted a lot recently on his Patreon as well, a lot of videos, and he's always kind enough to share it on our weekly stream. So we appreciate it, Rambo. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, and I know I shared this with you guys kind of on the back end, and I posted this on my Instagram page earlier today. Late the other night, it got me thinking into 2027. Believe it or not, I know we're into August right now, but 2027 is right around the corner, and it just got me thinking about upcoming dates in 2027 that will have their own 666 day alignment with. Just big news stories, big headlines, a lot of them being deaths that happened in 2025. So I put together a little visual for it. I encourage people in the chat to think about maybe any other dates that I have missed. Obviously, there's others out there. But just something to think about with regards to these dates. So, for example, right, we know about the death of Pope Francis last year. April 21st, 2025. Well, February 16th of next year will be a span of 666 days, right? And February 16th is interesting as well, considering how the date's written, right? 216, like how 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. Found that one interesting. I mean, March 5th, when you look at Pope Leo, May 8th, 2025 was the date that he became the 267th Pope after the death of Pope Francis, right? So March 5th of next year will be 666 days from that date. But you could also say that it's March 4th. And I say that because
I think Sojourn posted there was a buffering. I don't know if people can hear us. And then a bunch of people just dropped out of the chat all of a sudden. Now we're only down to 11 in the chat. So I don't know what's going on with the stream. Is everything good on your end, AJ?
Everything looks good on my end. The only lag I saw was with Rambo when he started talking. It looked like he was muted, but then I saw after that it looked like a lag. Okay, so
can you hear me?
Sojo says we hear you now. I can hear you. So yeah, go ahead, Rambo. I think we're back, but I did notice that drop. It looks like it's coming back. Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say that when 666 means a lot of things. It's the number of a man in the Bible. You can say it's the number of the beast, but it's also the number of a man. That's what the Bible says. It's the number of a man.
Right.
So I just think about the overarching. There's always an overarching, you could say, ritual element. It's like, what is 666? Why do we keep seeing it? I guess we can just speculate. I mean, I'm not an insider. I'm not, Matrix. I don't have connection to the Matrix architect or these, shaman and wizards who pretty much know the Matrix code to some degree. From my perspective, I can just speculate, but all these 666s, how things coordinate with them. The question is, what is the significance of 666? Sometimes it is to say, oh, evil devil, or, and I also explain where that comes from. It's the Trinity, the completion, balance is thought, action, emotion. When you take out emotion and you have thought and action, well, there's no emotion. That's when you get psychopathy. That's when you get evil. And it's thought and action with no emotion. So it could be evil there, but it's also the Bible says it's the number of a man. What is that saying about a man? And it's the number of a beast. I think that has to do with carbon-12, one of the most common elements of matter, being made up of 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. So man, I think, could mean the human body, not the essence, eternal essence, but the body itself, which is matter. It's made up of carbon-12. It's the material world. So it's a number of the material world and matter. What else is matter? Gold, money, the body. It's all matter. And King Solomon had 666 talents of gold. So gold is matter. I think a lot of this goes back to matter, the material world, called the matrix. The matrix is a computer world, and they know that. That's why they priced the very first Apple computer at $666 and 66 cents.
And computer in Sumerian equals 666. So does illusion.
Yeah. And
right.
internet is 666.
Internet, yep.
Yeah, so you saw 666 ties with the computer world, and there's this theory of the world as a computer simulation. That's the world of matter. Matter, a lot of matter contains carbon-12, which is 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. So that's what I think when they say number of a man, I think that's referring to the human body, the actual essence of a man, which is human, not necessarily man or woman. Human being, the essence is not physical. It's all about the physical, the material world. The other 666 is the magic square of the sun. And you can see how that ties in with Pope Francis, with the sun logo or emblem for the Jesuits. The sun rules Leo. Hulk Hogan's a Leo. He had those red and yellow sun colors. It could be that as well. So yeah, like if you think of Oklahoma City, that's more like the evil, absence of the heart, 2/3 incomplete Trinity. So yeah, I just want to touch on the meaning of 666 and how it could have different meanings.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just wanted to say that, these observations, it is, how many times have we seen things happen 666 days? When I've been decoding over the years, I can't even remember any of those things right now, but there's been plenty of times where there's been this date duration has been relevant, just looking at it numerically, without even symbolically looking at it, or just I've seen plenty of times where this has factored into the events or the rituals that we're decoding. So it's good to, I guess, look what happened 666 days before or after these events. And just real quick, AJ, you mentioned today is 666 days after Charlie Kirk's last birthday. Well,
his last living birthday.
Yeah, his last living birthday,
which was 2024.
So that, and I don't know if my screen is sharing or not yet, but
no. I can flip it over to you. Sorry about that. Hold
on. Let's see. Just to show real fast, since this is happening today. Today's 666 days since Charlie Kirk's, what would have been his 31st birthday?
Yes.
So his 31st birthday would have been, because he died at 31. So yeah, and today just happens to be the Patriot games. So, and I don't know if many of my subscribers even knew about this, because usually my subscribers, they drop stuff in the chat and let me know about things, but I didn't hear anyone talking about this. I didn't hear any decoders talking about it. I think it was a huge symbolic event that got missed. So I'm going to have to look into it. Like I said, I don't have a decode on this really, but this is essentially the Hunger Games, guys. It's one woman, one male teen from each state in the Union. Very symbolic, similar to that theme. Remember when Donald Sutherland was the president in that, played the president in that movie. So it seems very symbolic. Also, when Charlie Kirk died, considering that today is 666 days after his last living birthday, what are the odds that I did a whole decode last year about Charlie Kirk? Actually, it may have been this year, because I connected it to the Patriots being in the Super Bowl. Charlie Kirk was a Patriot, all that stuff. But if you just look up Patriot games, because there's a movie called Patriot Games. Actually, it's the city that this is taking place in today, called Geneva, Ohio. Notice it equals 1014. Well, that would have been Charlie Kirk's birthday 666 days ago, and now we're in Geneva, Ohio today for the Patriot Games. So there's definitely more. I'm sure there's layers to this, because remember, the movie Patriot Games, the cinematography was by Donald. That's funny. But the movie was starring who? Harrison Ford. Well, Harrison Ford it was his birthday when Donald Trump got clipped in the ear, supposedly. And today, the top headline on CNN was Trump's Air Force One decoy plane. And what was Harrison Ford also in? Air Force One. Today, I believe if Trump is going to have another plane crash incident, I think they gave us a huge clue today. So I find it also interesting that today Trump was at the Patriot Games. Because I don't know if it's still up on CNN's front page, but the top headline most of the day, or part of the day, was Trump's decoy plane from July 8th. He opposed, when he was in Turkey, he supposedly got on a decoy plane because he was afraid he was going to get it taken out. So just think about how that whole narrative goes with today and the Patriot Games and Charlie Kirk and all the riddles all the narratives I've seen to connect Trump to a possible plane crash at some point. And now this Patriot Games thing. And again, Hunger Games, the last scene, I think the Katniss Everdeen, she actually shoots that woman who's actually acting as the president at that time. So it's kind of like another leader getting taken out.
Well, and just as a reminder, Cody, too, speaking of the 666 stuff, my last book I wrote, Sorry, Charlie, I literally have a chapter called Kirk and 666. And, it's just all about those connections that, you shout out Joseph Aquaviva. I have all of those tags in the book as well, but pointing out the Charlie Kirk show, the release date of the Charlie Kirk show to the date he was assassinated was 6 years, 66 days. His birthday was also 66 months, 6 days from the Columbine shooting. Another 666 lined up with Abraham Lincoln. You also had King Charles. There was a lot in there.
Yeah, that's a big one too. That's a big one too, that King Charles, because the original, I believe the actual original plot of this Patriot Games book is an assassination attempt on the Princess and Prince of Wales. Well, King Charles was the Prince of Wales for a long time. But remember, when I originally did my decode, I realized that Charles was shot 666 days after King Charles' birthday. And I made all the connection with King James. His name is Charles James Kirk, Church Kirk, church and all that stuff. So I find it interesting that here we are now. It's with the Patriot Games today. And as much as I've been talking about King Charles too this year, eventually stepping down, that's also interesting that what you mentioned there. So, but yeah, the Harrison Ford thing also being in this movie is really interesting, considering the Air Force One narrative they had on the front page today of CNN.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, and this isn't the first time we've talked about Harrison Ford. I guess just more so with the Indiana Jones stuff. I know last we talked about him.
Oh, yeah, and that's what's also interesting, that the Indiana Jones, the Colts. Guess who they're having a joint practice with this weekend? The Patriots. And guess who is at the Patriot Games with Donald Trump? Pat McAfee. And Pat
he was
McAfee,
a Colt, right?
He's known for being what he is now, but I knew him before that. Most people didn't even know who Pat McAfee really was until he stepped out and became this WWE star also, and this talk show host star, and this whatever else he is. But he was a Colt. I mean, before he was any of that, he was just a Colts punter. and that's what he's known for, to me. And so I just find there's a lot of Colts stuff going on today. I mean, especially with what you just mentioned with the Indiana Jones connection and the Colts being at the Patriots right now, having a joint practice with them. Actually, I think they're playing them in a preseason game this weekend. So something possibly to look at there. And we know how the Patriots-Colts rivalry was for the years between Manning and Brady. So, yeah, there's a lot more to look into. I just wanted to bring this up to start just because this is fresh news today and something that I need to look more into. And if you guys in the chat have anything, maybe I'll do a video about that tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess well, one other thing I want to point out before it escapes me is I noticed in the description here it says that this movie, Patriot Games, was a sequel to the 90 film, The Hunt for Red October. Isn't that the movie with Gene Hackman? Who passed?
Is he in that? Sam Neill was in that. He just died.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. See, I didn't even know that. I'm just pointing out Red October because they kind of always use this slogan leading up to the MLB playoffs, right? The Hunt for October.
And Charlie Kirk's birthday is in October, so
there you go.
So yeah, there's probably maybe something with that too. Yeah, and Sean Connery.
I just wanted to point that out because Patriot Games is directly tied to that movie because it said it is a sequel to The Hunt for Red October.
Right.
It's not just like some random movie. It said it was the sequel.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's
a
good point to point out. And Sean Connery was also in Indiana Jones, and he was also in Hunt for Red October. And
I just saw a King thing down there, but I don't want to get too carried away here. Yeah. Well,
yeah. I mean, it kind of brings back the narrative with
Sean Connery.
His birthday is in October, or his death date was in October. How about that? Halloween. But yeah, I'll look more into it and see what I can find. But just the fact that it was today, and the one thing before I end this, considering everything, remember one of the biggest 666s I can remember is Donald Trump taking over office this recent time was exactly 666 months since the moon landing. July 20th, 1969 to January 20th, 2025 his second term starting, 666 months. And actually this fits perfectly because Gene's 666, number of a man, the human DNA, carbon.
Gene Geneva.
Oh yeah, this is in the 216 area code as well. I mean, I don't know if it's actually the 216 area code, but it's near Cleveland. So think about that, and check out what they're known for. This is what blew my mind. Geneva, Ohio is known for their declaration of lunar ownership. I mean, what a joke. They supposedly, on April 12th, the Civil War anniversary, that's also interesting, 1966, more than 200 people attended ceremonies at Geneva High School, at which they revealed that the city had claimed ownership of the moon. So, guys, I gotta do a decode on this. This is too good. I mean, this is what's little town? This isn't even really a huge city or anything, but either way, I mean, why did they declare ownership of the moon? There's got to be something more to it. Especially because tomorrow, Trump's in this city today, but tomorrow is what? The eclipse, which, the moon goes in front of the sun. So the moon is blocking out the sun, which has that 666 magic square. And Kobe scored 81 points in his 666 game. Well, the magic square of the moon is connected to the number 81. So maybe even Kobe's ritual there was all about the sun and the moon and the eclipse. So that's all I got for now. But again, they named this, somebody, Kimberly's saying there's a Geneva, New York, but yeah, they named this city after Geneva, New York. Actually, it says that in the description. But yeah, and I think Geneva, Switzerland as well, which is a hub of the elite. Could have something to do with the bankers and the banking system again, and the financial stuff as well, because of Switzerland also a big part of that. But I believe FIFA is also headquartered there, so there's a lot of stuff that I could say, but I'll end it there for now.
That's actually a good segue because you mentioned FIFA. That's a very good segue because I was going to say, what I have is off. It's a different topic. But then you mentioned the FIFA. It segues into FIFA's head. Like, yeah, well, that's a smooth transition. Big news around the world is the death of the father of the GOAT, who now Americans have been introduced to soccer. They know, who
You're good.
Who Lionel Messi is, the GOAT, the most popular sport in the world. Soccer absorbs an unfathomable amount of human psychic energy. It is ripe for magic. Humans put their, and whether you're a soccer fan or not, if you're American, for whom even you're not a sports fan, if you are a sports fan but you're not a soccer fan, well, you saw it just this summer, the FIFA World Cup, and the importance it has to the world. A billion plus audiences for games. Super Bowl gets at best 250 million audience. So you see the importance of soccer. It was literally invented. Well, everything in this world was invented by people who you could call magicians. Literally. So this is just this is here is the thumbnail for the video that I will upload. I'm almost finished, so it should be uploaded tomorrow. I mean, I have most of it done. It's actually part 2. It's part 2 of a video called "The Baby with the Bathwater," and what this is based on is the famous picture of Lionel Messi, the GOAT. His father just passed away. But even Americans I've shown the clip from Jimmy Fallon. He's talking about soccer. He's talking about Lionel Messi bathing this little baby who turned out to be Lamine Yamal, whom he played against in the World Cup final. What are the odds? I had talked about this picture long before this became a thing. I made a mistake of thinking it was too obvious, but I guess for the worldwide audience, it was not obvious. But he was randomly picked as a baby. I think many people are familiar with this story. This random baby from immigrant parents from Africa who emigrated to Barcelona, I think they actually were falling behind on rent. That sounds a lot like Mary and Joseph, who didn't have any money and had to give birth literally in an enclosure meant for animals because they were so poor. That sounds like a similar narrative. They were very poor. They were behind on rent. This African couple, the mother is from Equatorial Guinea and the father from Morocco. In Barcelona, Spain. Barcelona it's a Goliath of a sports franchise. I mean, worldwide, it is just a giant of an institution. So Barcelona Football Club, together with UNICEF, did a promotion of UNICEF because Barcelona used to sponsor UNICEF and promote UNICEF and do a lot of work with UNICEF. So UNICEF with Barcelona said, let's go to the immigrant community and just do a raffle of different families, and we'll sort out, any families who want to get involved. And of course, so the popularity of Barcelona Football Club, I mean, of course, like, who wouldn't want to be involved with that? And Lamine Yamal's parents won the raffle out of just, out of many. And so they brought their little Lamine Yamal, who was I'm going by FIFA. What FIFA World Cup? We talk about FIFA. Their headlines, their headquarters are in Geneva, according to the FIFA website. And we just talked about this date when KODI was going through his little preliminary decode. How Sean Connery, how the Halloween pops up a lot, just like 666. According to FIFA, this took place on Halloween in 2007. You'll see other dates elsewhere. I'm going with the authority FIFA. They said it was Halloween. In 2007, when Lionel Messi bathed this random quote-unquote baby. He'd just been born that year. And he turned out to be the next GOAT, which Adidas has already been on top of it, called the GOAT and the kid. I'll talk about that. But nonetheless, so those in my community, and I've done there's a short video, which I said earlier, if you join for free, you can see an excerpt. It's a decent excerpt for part 1. This is part 2 that's going to come up. I'm almost finished. It's shorter than part 1. Part 1 is half an hour. Part 2 is about 15 minutes. It's a baby theme, an ongoing baby theme. And the term the baby of the bathwater is actually a reference to this photograph, but baby themes have just been very prevalent, especially with the World Cup. But even going back, I've talked about it with Donald Trump, and he's a birther, and the baby on the classic album by Van Halen, rock pop album, Van Halen, 1984. There's a baby, looks like Donald Trump, the hairstyle. And it's a Lucifer. I mean, they've compared. I mean, Trump did the yin yang thing. He's like a Jesus figure. He's an Antichrist figure. And on the cover, of the 1984, there's a baby, blonde baby with hair like Trump, smoking a cigarette with wings, implying Lucifer. But so there's a baby.
Rambo, I don't know if we've talked about it like with this connection, but I know we have talked about that transition from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius.
Yeah.
And kind of the water themes of Aquarius and, the whole birthing and water connections there. Maybe that's why we're seeing a lot of these, baby rituals and baby connections is during that transition, no?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. So the baby is a symbol of a birth of what? A new age, a new era for the world. And they're in the Western tradition anyway. Maybe it goes back to Middle East as well, and Egypt. But the New Age is the astrological age of Aquarius. So yeah, in ancient Egypt, they use this as well. And that right now we're in the transition period to the New Age. The baby is the New Age. That's what it is. Aleister Crowley popularized another concept of the New Age, another metaphor, which is the eon of Horus. Horus being the newborn sun. So it's two new. It's either you could call it the age of Horus, the eon of Horus, or the age of Aquarius. Either way, Lamine Yamal. Whether you like soccer or not, these are important symbols, but you'll see the same symbols in areas. Even if you're not a soccer fan, you're aware of, the sports, American politics and news. You'll see the same symbolism. The sunrise, the baby is the new age. Lamine Yamal. That's why they had him play Lionel Messi in the final, because Lionel Messi is the GOAT of soccer, the most decorated player in soccer history. They had to have him hand the torch over to the next. And Adidas has already telegraphed that. I had talked about that in Decodes a couple years before this. I brought attention to the Adidas commercial it was titled The Goat and the Kid, because they're both sponsored by Adidas. And they show a full-grown goat and a baby goat, a kid. And the kid has 19 on it, which is on a podium, which is a reference to Lamine Yamal, who wears 19. And the goat had number 10, which is a reference to Lionel Messi. And that
I think the name Lamine, by the way, I just want to throw that in there. Lamine lamb. It makes me think of like a baby lamb. Lamine.
Oh yeah, that's lamb. Yeah, that's part of it too. A lamb, a goat. Lamb is also a entity that Aleister Crowley is said to have communicated with, an entity named Lamb. And Crowley's part of all of this. Crowley's a lot of what's happening in the world now. He's relevant to everything. I talk about Crowley all the time. Crowley's always relevant. You can even go further back to some of his influences, like John Dee. these magicians. So this is to reiterate what I've said. That we're trying to, for those who are curious about the world we live in, whatever it is, whatever the nature of this world is, this material world, the 666 computer world, matrix, whatever you want to call it, there are these magicians. Donald Trump doesn't have power. He was put in power by these type of people. And very influential, and there's some whose names we'll never know. John Dee, Queen Elizabeth's advisor and wizard, is a major wizard, shaman, who has influence on the world today. He could be the reason we're speaking English right now. England is a tiny little country. Their language is the world's de facto language. I'm not English, but I speak English. We all speak English, even though we're not English. That's how powerful England is. And you could go back to John Dee, because he communicated with some entities, you call them fallen angels. That's when England just exploded in power, right after. It's John Dee. Crowley, so he had Enochian magic. He influenced Crowley. Crowley influenced Jack Parsons, although Crowley didn't like where Jack Parsons took things. And Crowley made a distinction between the Eon of Horus, which he said was similar to the Age of Aquarius. He saw it as a time when the human race would actually take a step forward, would evolve in consciousness. And what he's saying, and I think he saw Jack Parsons as doing the opposite. He didn't agree with where Jack Parsons was taking his teachings. He saw that as the Eon of Set. Set kills Horus. He kills Osiris, the father of Horus. So Lionel Messi is representing Osiris as well. And the Eon of Set, that's the dark, dystopian, transhumanist, New World Order type future that seems to be the desire of the leaders, that at least we see the surface leaders, the tech billionaires, and the presidents of countries, Trump, Putin, the Chinese president, British royalty, Charles. No, there's a power behind them. Netanyahu, there's a power behind Netanyahu. He's not, none of them are that powerful. There's a powerful entity putting them in that place. And they look like, it appears to be, their vision is World Economic Forum and Bilderberg, to name others. That looks more like the Eon of Set is their desire. So Crowley, you kind of have to look at his teachings and separate them from the messenger, because he's not the type of messenger you'd want to emulate. He's out there in his own way. He had evidence. There's evidence that he was pretty much a sociopath, but his teachings are separate. And he did say that he distinguishes between the Eon of Horus and the Eon of Set. Especially religious-oriented people will just throw it all out and say, essentially throw the baby out with the bathwater with Crowley, just throw it all out. But some of his teachings were in there. And I've actually shown you some of what he prophetically talked about. He predicted what's happening today. He talked about football and people's obsession with football. He specifically said football. That was in 1909. He talked about wireless. He talked about cell phones. You have to separate Crowley's teachings from Crowley himself. He was very prophetic. Not the greatest messenger, but his message had some substance. So the Eon of Horus, the Eon of Set is not the same thing. I'm not an expert on this, on magic. It is very nuanced. And if people want, they can just look into themselves, different explanations from different people. Look at the different, not everybody will agree. But nonetheless, yes, that's what the baby symbolism, which is very prevalent. Just an example is the president of FIFA. We transitioned into this by mentioning FIFA. His name is Gianni Infantino. It is not a coincidence that at this time, Infantino, which literally means infant in Italian, and he's from Switzerland. So FIFA is headquartered in Switzerland. Infantino, the president of FIFA, is Swiss. Even though he favored Argentina over Swiss, clearly, he doesn't hide his emotions. That's probably part of for the camera as well. He's told to do it. Told to show that, show emotion when Argentina, looks like they might lose and stuff. So he did, at least appear deliberately to favor Argentina over his own native Switzerland, because Argentina did eliminate Switzerland. Now, if it was fair and not rigged, Switzerland For those who know soccer, Switzerland had a better team than Argentina. Switzerland were actually a dark horse. If it wasn't rigged, I mean, Switzerland would have surprised some people. Nonetheless, it is what it is, but this is why it's rigged, for these rituals, the new age. So yeah, so the big news is the death of the father of the GOAT, Jorge Messi is his name, who they announced his death on, so it was in the news in most places on August 8th, because he passed away this past August 7th in the city of Rosario in Argentina, which is Lionel Messi's hometown. That's their hometown, where Lionel Messi was born. And that happened at late at night, after 10 p.m., that it was announced on August 7th. So it is in the news on August 8th, unless you're ahead of Argentina. Oh, yeah, for most of the world, yeah, it's August 8th is when most of the world heard about this news. Right after the World Cup, the GOAT, Messi, his father died. I didn't do any decodes on it, but I had been thinking of how it's interesting that the other soccer current GOAT contender, Cristiano Ronaldo, he's the Kobe Bryant of soccer to Michael Jordan. Cristiano Ronaldo, so he's a GOAT too. I was thinking about how his father died a while ago, and I was thinking how Michael Jordan's father died. I was thinking it to myself. I didn't do a decode on it, and I was thinking, wow, isn't it? And I actually looked up Lionel Messi, like, are his parents? I didn't even know he was his agent, and no, they said no. Well, yeah, his parents are alive, and his father's having an illness, but I didn't think that was anything major to make a decode about. But I did wonder why Ronaldo's father died during his career. Michael Jordan's father died during his career, but here's this GOAT who's attached to both. And nothing's happened with him. I thought maybe he might be like a Tom Brady. Tom Brady, nothing, no major deaths. What's the worst sacrifice for Tom Brady? Oh, he was suspended 4 games at the beginning of one season for Deflategate. That's about it for Tom Brady. No deaths of loved ones, no children dying, no siblings dying. I mean, your parents will die eventually because of old age, but not during his career. So I thought maybe Messi was headed in the direction of Tom Brady, who's, I don't know.
You know, that it's funny you say that, Rambo, really quick, because shout out to Myron. Him and I have been talking a little bit more about the movie Like Mike and some dog themes, right? And believe it or not, Steph Curry ties in a lot into that movie and those rituals too. And I got to thinking that Steph Curry is kind of one of those exceptions where he still has his brother, you know, he still has his father. We know who his father is, right? Think about how many other athletes that, you know, you don't even know who his father is. Like Allen Iverson, for example. Think about all the Philly stuff going on now with LeBron James, who we don't know who his father is, quote unquote. There's a lot of theories about Thurman, but anyways, you get my point. Like, so Steph Curry is kind of the one that does have a dad, and you know, those kinds of things, and he's a father as well. So, anyways,
yeah, and there's also no doubt that this is Lionel Messi's father. I mean, look at it. That's his father. There's no doubt about it. He's almost a clone. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, that's definitely his father. Also, there's also been some people have questioned what illness. They haven't really been clear on unless I missed it, what the illness was that he had. They said he had it for a while, but the illness is, I'm not sure what it is. I have to look more into that. Nonetheless, they announced this right after the World Cup. And so it is the big news around the world. And I've talked about Lionel Messi. We've talked about the lion symbolism with him. He has lion in his name, Lion L. His nickname is Leo, L-E-O. The zodiac sign of Leo is ruled by the sun. There's a lot of sun symbolism. The sun insignia is on the flag of Argentina. A lot of sun, so there's a lot of sun symbols, a lion symbol, Leo. The zodiac sign of Leo ruled by the sun. So Lionel Messi. I've talked about the Lion King comparison. The Lion King, I show this here. This is actually from Wikipedia. The Lion King was released on June 24th, which is Lionel Messi's birthday, June 24th. So, I mean, that's an important, another correlation. Lionel Messi, Lion King, on his birthday. That's when the original was released. Interesting that it ran 88 minutes long. if you look up the death date of Lionel Messi's father, a lot of sites will say August 8th, 8/8. And some will say August 7th, some will say 8/8. But either way, it was in the news on August 8th. So even if you use Colel or whatever, it is related. It is very interesting that The Lion King is 88 minutes long. And it was released on Lionel Messi's birthday, and his father died shortly before 8/8. There's 8/8 in some other countries. But in astrology, there is a phenomenon known as the Lion's Gate portal, which opens every August 8th. Is this all a coincidence? The Lion's Gate portal, every year it opens. So it's not something that changes year by year. It's every August 8th. They have what's called the Lion's Gate portal of astrology. The Lion's Gate, the Lion King. The Lion King debuts on Lionel Messi's birthday, and it's 88 minutes in length. This is close to the date of his father's death. And the Pope, the Pope before the current Pope was from Argentina. That was Pope Francis. He was from Argentina, the same, and he died at age 88. So 88 is a thing with Argentina, apparently, and the lion theme, because who succeeded the Argentine Pope Francis, who died at 88? It was Pope Leo. You see the trend here? Is all this a coincidence? I mean, I'm pointing out this is a pattern in the matrix. We can question who's orchestrating this, how is it happening? The 88s, the Leo, the Sun, Argentina, Lions Gate, 8/8, August 8th. It's a pattern. But yeah, as the current Pope Leo, who's American from Chicago, succeeded the Argentine Pope, who died at age 88. So that's part. And you see here, you'll see the theme of the death of the father, which I talked about. So not every prominent person experiences the premature death of a parent, but while they're still in their middle of their career. But it does happen, and it's happened here. And it happened with the other Chicago GOAT, it was Michael Jordan, who's related to this. So this is about the cycle, the birth, life, death, rebirth cycle. And then you have rebirth, and then life, and then death again, and then rebirth, and then life, and the cycle continues. That's what this is about. This is about the cycle. And that's illustrated in the movie The Lion King, because the title track for The Lion King is The Circle of Life by Elton John. Circle of Life, a very famous title track to The Lion King. So that's actually what all this, it's about the cycle. It's not necessarily about the sun per se. It's about this natural cycle of the universe. And it's about the wheel. That's why you see so much wheel symbolism. And I said it, I'll always say, I said it over and over again, the most relevant esoteric symbol, yes, it's the twin pillars. There's the eye, the single eye, an assortment of other symbols. The most important symbol, the one at the middle of the web, from which everything is connected. Everything's connected. It's one symbol. It's the wheel. I've said that. It's the cycle, and it's various forms. And it's illustrated in the lyrics of Circle of Life from The Lion King. In the Circle of Life, it's the Wheel of Fortune. So Elton John sings that. So the Wheel of Fortune and the circle, that's the symbol. That's the central symbol. And that's actually what this is about. So this is passing of the torch. So at the time, Lionel Messi was just beginning his career when he was 20 years old, Lionel Messi at the time. He was the aspiring GOAT. He was very hyped young player, genius of a young player who was saying great things can be achieved. At the time, he was 20. And he went on to do that, but he was baptizing ahead of time the next. And they played for the same team because he was playing for Barcelona. This is in the city of Barcelona. Lionel Messi was playing for Barcelona. And then Lamine Yamal was born in Barcelona. Now he plays for Barcelona. So Barcelona is very central to this. So he goes on to be the GOAT. Now, at the end of his career, he passes the torch literally in the World Cup final to a now grown-up Lamine Yamal. This is the Circle of Life. This is Mufasa. This is Simba. This is Osiris. This is Horus. And this is a symbol on the broader overarching symbol is the New Age, the Eon of Horus in the terminology of Aleister Crowley. And this is Horus. Lamine Yamal, whether you like soccer or not, Lamine Yamal represents the New Age, the birth, the baby New Age. And so in my decodes, my latest video, which I put as half an hour, and part 2, it explains this symbol, the baby symbol, and all the baby symbol that you're seeing. And this is the Wheel of Fortune tarot card. It's in the lyrics of The Lion King. The wheel symbolism. We talked about this. I'll talk about it more later. We talked about it last week, AJ, how the wheel symbolism is even bigger in the NFL. Believe me, it's even bigger in the NFL. We talked about it off air, AJ, but we'll talk about we'll talk about football NFL season later. But
yeah. We'll pocket that for another night.
Yeah. This is going to be huge. It's even bigger for the NFL. This wheel symbolism, the Wheel of Fortune, Circle of Life. So this is another tarot card, the Death tarot card. This is not necessarily a negative card. When people see death, immediately, yes, understandably, death has a negative connotation, but it's not necessarily negative. It could be the death of something not good. It could be the death of an illusion. It could be something, a death of a fake persona, for example. When your body dies, your spirit continues, and your body, the material world, the 666 world, is a world of illusion. It's a world of ego. And when you're in your spirit, your eternal self-consciousness, there is no ego. At dimensions higher than this, the ego does not exist. It strictly exists in this realm. Once you leave this realm, you separate from the ego. So an ego death is something that very few people ever achieve, a genuine ego death. That's when dying is easy. It's the easiest thing to do is die because everybody dies. Anyone can die. It's easy. What is really difficult is dying to your ego while you're in this third dimensional realm. That is very difficult because this is all we see. This is all we can sense with the 5 senses. You can understand it intellectually, the concept of a spirit, but you don't feel it. You can't witness the spirit world. You can't. And some people have gifts. They have experiences. Some are real. Some, it's up to you to believe if experiences are real. They do make contact with the spirit world. That can happen. But for the most part, you're blocked off from the spirit world unless you can have certain experiences. And this is all you know. So it's understandable that people would think that this is the end all be all. And then you identify with the physical vessel that you occupy and control. But it's your consciousness that controls it. And that's your ego, the physical, the name you're given, nationality, sex, gender, your looks, your race, all these things you identify with, that's all ego. And that will end. It all ends. All of it ends. But you will continue. You don't take any of this with you. And this is all temporary. But to die to your ego while you're still alive, that's the goal of every great seeker of a higher consciousness. You can call them what you will. Ascended masters, the great prophets, messiahs. Christ is a term. It's a title. A Christ. Christ means anointed. So it's not a name. It means anointed. So you reach that Christ consciousness level, you have to die to your ego, which is very difficult to do. You're separating from this 3D realm while you're still here. And if you can do that successfully, you'll have no ego. You'll literally be free. Very few people can do that, but it's a concept. So this is why death is not necessarily a negative card. In some ways, this is the most positive card. Ego death is the best thing that can happen to you before you die, because it's very difficult to do. And anyone can die and separate. Once you're in the spirit world, well, that's easy. Now I'm back in the spirit world. I know everything now. Not that hard when you're in the material world. This is not a negative card. This is actually can be very positive. So what you'll notice about the death card, it's actually a cycle symbol. And it can mean many things. So I'm not really, and I don't claim to be a tarot expert. I'm not a tarot expert, but I can identify a few meanings here and there. This is cycle symbolism here. What you see here, yes, granted death, you have the Grim Reaper, which represents the death of the body, what appears to be a dead monarch. But in the background, you see a sunrise. Again, the baby sun. This is Horus. This is the baby sun. And the twin pillars, we're talking about the twin pillars on the flag of Spain. Lamine Yamal is quoted with all of this. And Lionel Messi as well. They're quoted with this. This is an archetype. I have archetype in the subtitle of the truth codes, I say, of ciphers and archetypes. Archetypes like this determine this world we live in, the cycle. And so this is what Lamine Yamal is. This is Horus, the rising sun. So this depicts an end and a death, but in the background, it actually depicts hope, rebirth, life being renewed, new possibilities. You can make up for past mistakes or go to a higher level than you were after the death. This could be the death of an ego, and this could be a spiritual awakening. This is actually a positive card. I mean, there's always a positive and negative message, but this is Lamine Yamal right here, and Lionel Messi. That's the whole. And then his father just died, so you could say that this is Lionel Messi's father. And so Lionel Messi could be, in some cases, he's the son, and in some cases, Lionel Messi is the father. With Lamine Yamal, he's the father. Lamine Yamal is the son. With Lionel Messi's father, Jorge, obviously Messi now is the son. This would be Messi. And although Messi now is the adult son. So that's a positive card. So I've talked about this in my decodes. It's about the White House Correspondents' Dinner earlier this year. It was April 25th at the Hilton Hotel in Washington, D.C., which was interrupted by an alleged, again with Donald Trump, assassination attempt. Donald Trump and these assassination attempts that never really seemed to shake him. He was cracking jokes afterwards, which I talked about last week. Said, the guy should have been a running back in the NFL. That doesn't sound like someone whose life was in danger. But yeah, Trump and these assassination attempts, but there's deeper symbolism there. We're talking about the moonchild symbolism with Donald Trump. Again, Crowley's very relevant to everything that happens today. Not everything, but a lot of what happens in the world today. He wrote that letter about the moonchild that Jack Parsons, along with L. Ron Hubbard, were intending to conjure a moonchild, which would be the Antichrist moonchild. The date of the letter that Aleister Crowley wrote condemning L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons was dated for the very day of the birth of Donald Trump, which is the day of a blood moon, which is a sun-moon opposition. So that's an eclipse where Earth is in the middle, the sun is on one side, and the moon is on the other side. So Earth is in the middle of the sun and the moon. So Earth casts a shadow onto the moon, causing the moon to look red. It's a full moon, and Donald Trump was born under a full moon, blood moon. So yeah, that's the relevance again with Donald Trump and the moon symbolism. So this was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, the first scheduled one, which was interrupted by Cole Thomas Allen, where you had 2 pregnancies. And this is very relevant because if you look at the Washington, D.C. Hilton Hotel where they had it, look at the shape of it. This is not a coincidence. This is not pareidolia. This is a fact. This is why it was designed this way. If you look at this, I mean, it looks unremarkable. It's interesting. The first thing I would think of when I see this is the glyph for the zodiac sign of Aries. Aries is when the sun is reborn in spring. So it does look like the glyph of Aries, an aerial view of the Washington, D.C. Hilton Hotel where they had this correspondence dinner. But this is very relevant. The driveway here, the oval shaped, this is where you find out what it's based on. Human female ovaries. This is what the fallopian tubes of a human female look like. Fallopian tubes. And this is where the ovary are, right here. Now you see the DC Hilton. You see the fallopian tubes. And they very conveniently have this oval-shaped driveway. That's the ovary. That's not pareidolia. This is what it's designed for. So now you understand why they had 2 pregnancies at this location. This was White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who was due, it was 6 days later she gave birth. And this is Katie Miller, who's the wife of Donald Trump's chief advisor, Stephen Miller. She gave birth June 10th. So they were, by coincidence, just apparently at a place designed after this, ovaries and fallopian tubes, the DC Hilton. That's the birth symbolism. So this is not just in soccer. This is in world politics, in the seat of the most powerful country, empire, United States. The United States is the latest iteration of Rome. And this is the United States government. So soccer is not a trivial thing. This is all to influence human consciousness. Lamine Yamal's birthday is relevant, July 13th, because that's the date on which, in 2024, Donald Trump had the other assassination attempt at Butler, Pennsylvania.
Butler. Yeah.
Yeah, his ear was clipped. His ear's in perfect condition now.
Correct, right?
From one of the most powerful rifles in the world. Was it an AR-15? I think it was. A round from an AR-15, if it makes the most minimal contact with your ear, the minimal contact, just contact alone, a round from an AR-15, your ear will not be the same, even with minimal contact. His ear's imperfect, but they do things like that to see who's still, despite this, still going to fall for this, and there are people who do. His ear's in perfect condition nonetheless. These are all rituals. It happened on Lamine Yamal's 17th birthday. Quite interesting. On that very day, Caroline Leavitt, again, who was pregnant at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where they had the other assassination attempt, she's always connected to the assassination attempts. Look at this. She had, so at the White House press Correspondents' Dinner, she was pregnant with her second child, a girl, but she already has a son at the time. She gave birth to her son, her first child, a week before the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt. She returned to work a week later. This is Caroline Leavitt. She returned to work within a week. This is of the birth of her first child, was a son. On the day, she returned to work on the day of the Thomas Crooks' attempted assassination of Trump. You think all this is a coincidence or planned out? I say it's planned out. This is the imagery and the archetype of the death tarot card being manifested. It's a life-death ritual. The same way the death card has life and death depicted on it. The death ritual, and it's a ritual, is Thomas Crooks' attempted assassination of Donald Trump. But he was safe. His ear's fine. He's in the WWE Hall of Fame, Donald Trump is. And he's in the Hollywood Hall of Fame, on the Walk of Fame. But WWE is known for using the fake blood pellets. He's in the Hall of Fame of the WWE, which is it's an acting institution. And he's in the Hall of Fame. But the rituals are deeper. There's a deeper meaning to the rituals. It's like staring at a tarot card, looking at the news. It's the death card, life and death together. The rising sun in the background is Caroline Leavitt's son. This is the sun rising in the background of the death card. And the day she returned to work, the Trump assassination attempt, that's the death. That's the Grim Reaper. So that's all this. This is the life, and it's about the cycle. So you have birth, at the same time you have death. It's that cycle. There's birth, life, death. Then there's rebirth, life, death, rebirth. This is a very...
I want to shout out King Bags really quick, too. He just said, hey, Rambo, Tupac's real name is Lazane Crooks.
Oh, okay.
For what it's worth. That's interesting, too, because I could have sworn I saw some news headline, something about the Tupac murder trial or something. I'm like, this is coming back to the news? I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, there is some a deep symbolism with Tupac as well. Crooks, yeah, I'm not sure about what the name Crooks might mean something. But yeah, so this is Caroline Leavitt's son. On the same day, July 13th, again, it's Lamine Yamal's 17th birthday. Caroline Leavitt returns to work after giving birth to a new son. That's what this is. This is her new son. And then this here is the Crooks assassination attempt of Donald Trump. And again, and Lamine Yamal again, because it's on his 17th birthday. And what's interesting is the name of Caroline Levitt's son. When she returned to work, just within a week of his birth. His name is Nico, which is very interesting, because Nico is the same name as Lamine Yamal's best friend and teammate on the Spanish team. In fact, he provided the winning assist for the World Cup winning goal. It was Nico Williams. It's the other Nico who wears number 17. And remember that she came back to work after giving birth to Nico on Lamine Yamal's 17th birthday. It all ties in quite neatly. We're talking about the 19 symbolism, how 19 is so prevalent. Lamine Yamal, he was 19 years old at the time of this World Cup, at the passing of the torch. The Lionel Messi baptism picture of Lamine Yamal was 19 years ago in 2007. Their birthdays are 19 days apart. July 13th, June 24th are 19 days apart. You can see this picture, they both wear 19. The most recent remake of The Lion King was released on July 19th in the year 19. Of course, July 19th is the date of the World Cup final. So the World Cup final this year was on the anniversary of the latest remake of The Lion King. And we talked about the connection to The Lion King. The original one was released on Lionel Messi's birthday. It's amazing how it all ties together. So July 19th, The Lion King, and the World Cup final was July 19th, but The Lion King was July 19th, the year 19. That's 1919. Lionel Messi and Lamine Yamal both wore jersey number 19. His father, Jorge, died 19 days after July 19th, after his son passed the torch. So Messi was the father passing the torch to the newborn son, Lamine. Now he's the son with his father passing away. His father passed away 19 days after the World Cup final. His father passed away on August 7th, which was, so that's 19 days. So you see the prevalence of 19, especially the 1919 is very significant. That's July 19th, 2019, 1919. And the fact that they both wear a jersey number 19. Because what is the address of the fallopian tube ovary, Washington, D.C. Hilton, where they had the event with two pregnant, prominent women? It's 1919 Connecticut Avenue. And these two both were 19. This kind of detail, you can't deny how, and you have to understand why. You can understand why because of the degree to which soccer captivates the world's consciousness. I mean, of course, not everybody's a soccer fan, of course, but you see there are very few other vehicles in the world that have this effect, like especially in the entertainment world, maybe a major world event, but an entertainment event, soccer, I can't think of anything else that has this much of a hold on human consciousness. That's why you see it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the symbolism is really powerful with what you're pointing out about this Washington Hilton. I just wanted to throw in too. It makes me think when you mentioned Trump and Washington, and I think about his first election, there was a very popular phrase of his that was released, right? A recording right before the final results came out. Grab him by the blank.
Yeah.
Well, that word equals 19.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, that's very good.
So I mean, it ties in right in with the the ovary symbolism, and shout out to whoever it was in the chat that pointed out that just the name Lamine reminds them of feminine, essentially, or famine. Kind of looks very similar. Or feline. I don't know.
You know what ties in to this? You know the Sopranos actor who just died?
Yeah.
He died on the day
last week, right?
He died on the day of the rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner, which was July 24th.
Okay.
He died on July 24th. It ties into this because it was the rescheduled White House press correspondence dinner. But remember, what is the name of the character that he played in The Sopranos?
Bueller? Anybody? Bueller?
Oh, you don't want to say? Nobody wants to say. Okay. All right. I'll do this.
Okay, so he died back in July, but did the news just come out in August? Because I thought the Sopranos' death came out just this past week, or at least it was just announced.
So he died. See, Tony Sirico,
Okay.
the actor who famously played Peter Paul, Paulie Walnuts on The Sopranos, was born July. He was born on July 24th, right? So he passed away on July 8th, but it's his birthday. So his birthday is the day of the rescheduled White House correspondence dinner. But Vincent oh wait, now who's this now? Vincent, I'm confused now. You're saying Tony Sirico and then Vincent Pastore.
Well, I was gonna say that I think that Vincent guy, yeah, he's the one.
Oh, so Sirico was born July 2. Okay, so it's confusing. Okay, that's not a connection then. So it's a good thing. Yeah, you didn't,
but you're thinking about Vincent Pastoro.
Yeah.
Didn't he just?
Because somebody mentioned. Yeah, that's because of the name that he had on on The Sopranos, because of what people had been talked about.
Yeah, for sure.
So I know somebody who met him actually, but so 1919, they both were 19. That's the address of the Washington D.C. Hilton. It's actually at the intersection of, so you have 1919 Connecticut Avenue. There's an intersection of 19th Street as well. So 19 is really big with this. So the expression "don't throw the baby out with the bathwater," it's a popular term. I even used it earlier. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I thought of with the Lamine Yamal imagery with Lionel Messi. But in the Elizabethan cipher, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Some sort of 424. And one thing about the Elizabethan ciphers, they produce dates consistently. It's amazing how they do it. Produce dates. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And Elizabethan cipher, that's the cipher that John Dee would have used. That's the cipher that Francis Bacon would use. Francis Bacon is a John Dee disciple. These are all influence Crowley. It's all influence Parsons. This is all influence happening now, today in the world. This is the cipher that they would have used. This is Elizabethan. You can't ignore the Elizabethan ciphers. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. 424. Why is that significant? That's Jorge Messi's birthday, 424, April 24th. And then his son does the baby in the bathwater ritual. So yeah, I do have an intro video to my part 2. I'll be honest, I actually forgot I forgot all about it to play it. So now that I remember it, I'll play the.
No, you're fine, Rambo. Really quick, a YouTuber brought up or posted an interesting comment here. Just wanted to pick your brain on it. It says, so the 19th card is the birth of the baby, and the 20th card is water breaking. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, so the different decks is the Rider-Waite deck, which is the one that's most recognized, is also the Aleister Crowley deck. So in the Rider-Waite deck, card number 20 is Judgment, and it's a very okay. We'll just take a look at the Judgment card. Judgment. This is a card that Aleister Crowley calls the Eon. So this is 20. So this comes after the Sun card. And yeah, it is a very watery card, but what is it about? You can see it's about resurrection. Now, Aleister Crowley doesn't use this image. And there's also the Marseille deck. So this is more in line with the Marseille deck is much older than this. So this is actually based off of the Marseille. The Marseille Tarot is much, much older than the Rider-Waite. It's similar, but you see what it's resurrection. It's called Le Jugement in in the Marseille. But yeah, it's a rebirth, and you can see it's not just children. There's a child being reborn, but there are adults being reborn. But they're coming out of graves. Again, the life, death, rebirth, life, death, that cycle, that's what this is. This is the cardinal cross. The cardinal cross is Aries, the reborn sun, Cancer, the adult sun at its highest point, Libra, the sun when it dies, Capricorn, the sun in the underworld at its lowest point, and then back again to Aries, the reborn sun. That's why they have this. It's the St. George's cross. Think of George Jorge. Jorge, which means George in Spanish. Jorge Messi. This is St. George's cross. That symbolism is all here. So yeah, you could say water breaking because it is about a birth. It's about a rebirth, actually, because these figures have already been born before. They're being born again. You used to have a child. People die at different ages. You can die as a child. You can die as an elderly person. You can die in middle age. And 19 is the sun. So this is 19, and on the Rider Waite, it has the child. So this would be the baby, yes. And the sun. So 19 and then 20. So yeah, there's a 19 significance again. That's why you're seeing so much 19. And isn't this similar to the sun on the flag of Argentina? The world is ruled by archetypes. See that sun? And there's, this is what rules the world. This is what holds the matrix together. Is these archetypes. So yeah, I'll just show. I completely forgot about my video. It's the intro to my part 2, which hasn't come out yet. Part 1 is out, and there's also a good excerpt for free. So I'll just play the intro.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, Rambo, was there supposed to be sound here?
You can't hear anything?
No. You might have to just, like, if I remove your screen and then just re-request.
Okay.
And make sure to hit the
yeah, I did the first
little, the blue icon.
Yeah, I actually did that, but I think that glitch that happened. Remember that glitch that happened earlier in the show?
Yeah, that could have been.
Yeah, I think
done something.
Yeah, that did something.
No worries.
So am I back on?
Yeah, I got your request. I'm just waiting for you to get back to your video.
Okay.
You good? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try it again.
In 2026, Lionel Messi.
We're good.
Oh, you heard it? Okay.
Symbolizes the life,
excuse me.
death, rebirth cycle. His father, Jorge, passed on, and Lionel, the son, perpetuates the Messi name. Lionel Messi plays the role of the father to Lamine Yamal in the high ritual photographs. Lionel Messi's international career, quote unquote, dies, and Yamal resurrects as the newborn goat, the kid, the child, the newborn Eon, Heru, Horus, of the finger to the lips signature, the circle of life, which is the theme song of The Lion King. In astrology, every August 8th is the date of the opening of the celestial Lion's Gate. Messi, Lion L. Messi's father died late in the evening of August 7th, so the Lion's Gate portal would have been opening. The circle of life, the Lion King, opened on Lionel Messi's birthday. Jorge Messi died in a time span of 20 total days, with Lionel Messi giving way to the new eon of Lamine Yamal at the World Cup final on July 19th. 20 is the number of the tarot card in the Crowley deck. The eon.
Amazing as always, Rambo.
Yeah, thanks. So this is part one. It's the best to see that first. Part two is only like 15 minutes.
By now, you may have seen this.
Oops, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So yeah, that's part two, which will be about 50 minutes, which I'm almost completed.
So just keep that in mind, you guys. Seriously, I mean, with regards to his Patreon, $5 a month, you guys, and that's going to be for everything, including everything that he also posts on the free tier. So make sure to sign up at least for the free tier. But give him a shot. $5 a month.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know if Cody wants to add anything now. I've talked a lot. If he has anything.
Yeah, I was going to ask Cody, you out there? I know it's late. He's probably still on mute. There he is. Cody. You out there? I saw him go off of mute.
Hello, testing 1 2.
There he is. There he is. Yes,
What
I can
happened?
hear you,
I
Cody.
don't know. Can you hear me now? Hello.
Yes.
Test?
Yep.
I've been talking for a whole minute. It seems like, but I guess you guys weren't hearing me.
No worries. We can hear you now.
I don't know why it started working now because I unmuted it before and then it still wasn't. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I was saying that. Now, what was I saying? Now I completely lost my train of thought. Something about the 19. No, okay, yeah, I was just saying that, with all the rebirth stuff, we talked about that actually 2 weeks ago because I missed last week, but 2 weeks ago we were talking about the Eon and how we had that Eon Mall in Japan and the rising sun and the you guys remember all that with the earthquake and the Eon Mall. And then we had, what was I going to say? So we had the death of, I did notice that the death of Messi's father was 474 days after Jorge Mario Bergoglio. 474. That is the gematria of the phoenix in, I think it's satanic. The phoenix equals 474. Which think about the phoenix rebirth. That's what the phoenix is about. So I think that, the first thing I thought of when he died was the first connection I had to make was with Jorge Mario Bergoglio. So, to me, that was like the clear, again, we've documented already so many times how Pope Leo Messi, Pope Francis, Argentina, and I still found it blind blowing to me when I found out that Messi's father's name just happened to be Jorge, and his middle name is Horace, right? Horacio, which it's not the same name, but it makes you think of that, right? So the whole thing seemed to be, and then what I covered in my video this week, just to kind of add to that, was this, that as you can see, Leo Messi's father, I did share your
Cody,
thing.
are you trying to share your screen?
Yeah, isn't my screen up or no?
No, it's not up.
Hold on.
There we go.
Is it going?
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, I did share this in my video that Rambo had just pointed this out with this connection, and then tomorrow is the eclipse, which I have stated that this eclipse, whether something happens tomorrow or not, which I don't think something will on the exact day of the eclipse, but I've pointed out already before, and I think this is important to reiterate, that most events, when they happen, are connected to the eclipses. The eclipses are markers, in my opinion. So, for instance, tomorrow's eclipse is essentially retroactive. In my opinion, it's a retroactive point marker to the death of Pope Francis, because it's the first eclipse since Pope Francis died. And what I mean by that is the first total eclipse since Pope Francis died. So this eclipse, because it's the first one since, it represents his death. I just want to point, people think, oh, something's got to happen tomorrow. Well, something already happened. This eclipse has already been paid tribute to. It's already been ritualized with the death of Pope Francis. I don't know if that makes sense. Because it's the first eclipse. It's the first eclipse since the Pope was eclipsed by another Pope. And now we have the same story continuing to go on with Pope Leo, but you have Leo Messi getting eclipsed kind of by his protege. And the 1919 is super important. Okay, so first of all, this all connects to what Rambo was saying. Really, I could, because, well, just quickly, Pope Francis died on the 111th day of the year at 88. And then 1 year, 110 days later, which is like 111, Jorge Messi dies on 8/8. The news was on 8/8. So you got the same numbers, 8/8. You got the 111 between. Pope means father. I mean, so, and again, Jorge Marvigoglio equals 111. And this number's been really big lately. I mean, it's always a big number, 111, but lately, the last days, it's just been popping out to me because I just did a decode last week about this show Heroes that has been so big, and I connected it with the main actor. Remember, last month, Bonnie Tyler died. Bonnie Tyler was a really big wake-up call for me. It really put me on to the eclipses, and since that, I've really learned a lot about the eclipses and really seen just how important they are as markers in this reality, energy centers. But like, remember, she died on the main actor's birthday of Heroes. Hero is very close to Hiru. Hiru is another word for Horus. So there's a connection there. I'm positive there's also a connection there with the heroes and the Hiru. But so anyway, the point is that this was all tied to Pope Francis. Even the fact that his funeral was 66 weeks and 6 days before Jorge's death. If you go by the August 7th date, there was a bit of discrepancy. But the original date they were giving when it first happened was 8/7. But they have changed it on Wikipedia to 8/8. But they had to ritualize both dates, I feel like, because 8/8 was the big Lionsgate. But it's the rule of Kollel. I mean, it's within 1 day. It's and then also not only was it 66 weeks and 6 days, again, the magic square of the sun, Horus. It was also 1 year, 3 months, and 18 days after his death. So it was 666 after his funeral and 1318 after his death. And that's the chapter of the Bible where it talks about the number of the six. I mean, it's perfect. And again, I mentioned this, the 474, the Phoenix equals 474, but also Sopdet. Sopdet is the Egyptian Sirius. And then this leads into the whole Lionsgate Sirius stuff. And look at this. I mean, from the death of Pope Francis, so Sirius is also a big part. The eclipse are huge markers, but Sirius ties into the eclipses as being another huge astrological aspect of this. But look at this. It just so happens that Pope Francis died 478 days before the next. Again, this is the first total solar eclipse since he died. The first one. 478. That just happens to be the gematria of Sirius. So that brings us all together with Sirius, which is connected to Isis, which is connected to Osiris, which connects to Horus, which connects to Egypt, which connects to Crowley, which connects to the eclipse next year over Egypt. And I believe there's going to be some major things happening between this August eclipse tomorrow and the next one over Egypt. And they'll all be connected to these eclipses, every single event, just like the Spain World Cup win was all connected to this eclipse and the next eclipse. The whole reason Spain won the World Cup, in my opinion, is because of the eclipses. It's not the only reason, but it's one of the central reasons. But also what's happening tomorrow is the conjunction of the asteroids Isis and Osiris. What are the odds? This is something that most people didn't know. I didn't know about it until recently either, but there's a conjunction of the asteroids that are named Isis and Osiris, with Sirius actually rising for the first time on the 41st parallel where Rome is and where Chicago is. Tomorrow is the anniversary of Chicago being established as a town. So it's an important date to Chicago tomorrow. And again, Rome and Chicago are almost sit on the exact same parallel. I think they're 0.1 degree off or something like that.
Don't the Bears have a running back named Rome?
They have a receiver named Rome Odunze. So it's very clear what they did. I mean, it's so clear what they did here. I mean, you had the Charlie Kirk thing from Chicago. He died in Orem, which is an anagram of Rome. Chicago just happens to have a player named Rome. Then the new pope gets elected and put in Rome from Chicago.
Well, and Soldier Field kind of had those like Roman pillars, at least where they used to play in Soldier Field. Before I mean, they're still going to play there until the official move. I'm not sure.
Right, which is going to be supposedly in Indiana, which is interesting.
Right.
Also, April 21st, the day of Pope Francis's death, is also that's given as the establishment date of Rome. Was April 21st.
Right. That's exactly. Yeah, I forgot to mention that before, but yeah, that's a good point. The date he died was the anniversary of Rome, right? So, which connects to Sirius, and I believe also because the wolf, the suckling of the twins, Romulus, Remus. So Sirius and the eclipse, two of the most powerful parts of this alignment. But these two asteroids just happen to be conjunct, Osiris and Isis. So it's almost like this. I mean, it's almost like the perfect that the Lamine Yamal thing played out. Just like Rambo showed with the three people there, the Isis, Osiris, and Sirius or Horus, and now we have this eclipse, which I already tied to Spain winning now, and I didn't even know about these two asteroids. So.
Yeah, and hey, quick side note, shout out to King Bags again. Man, did we talk a lot about Charlie Kirk being that Ducks fan, right? And all the duck symbolism. And I totally forgot about that story. The Chicago River, they dumped a ton of rubber duckies into the Chicago River recently for some fundraiser. Like every duck represented like a donation or something.
Huh.
To some charity. But as we know, yeah, Charlie Kirk was the Ducks fan from Chicago, Arlington Heights.
And yeah, so another thing I noticed that's a pattern to really watch out for now that I noticed, and again, maybe at first gematria just something matching in a cipher is not big. In fact, you should probably research it more to see if there's relevance to a certain match. But there's 100% relevance to this, I believe. Chicago, Illinois just happens to be a match to Osiris. Again, this is not just in the base ciphers. This is in cipher where it's very illogical to think that Chicago, Illinois would have the same gematria value as Osiris. It's for a reason. And so there's a few things I've discovered on top of what I'm showing here. You have, of course, the reason I'm bringing up Osiris is, again, you have the asteroid being conjunct tomorrow. We talked about Osiris. Rambo already talked about that. You could say that Pope Francis was the Osiris and Pope Leo is kind of the Horus in this aspect, but there's different ways you could look at it. But the fact that he's from Chicago, though, and Osiris equals Chicago, Illinois, what I've found since then is that there is a band called Born of Osiris. Guess where they're from? Chicago. They're not just a little band either. They got a pretty good following. So, you got the first thing. The first thing you do when you make logical connections is you say, okay, there's a gematria match between Osiris and Chicago, Illinois. So now let's see if we can verify this. See if there's anything that points to Chicago being really connected to Osiris. Well, the first thing I noticed before I even found this band was that I immediately thought of how the WWE has been paying tribute to Pope Leo in Chicago, and the current champion of the WWE is CM Punk. And look what he does. He does the Osiris Rising. So that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, okay, well, you have Osiris equaling Chicago, Illinois. There's no one more connected to Chicago than CM Punk. I mean, he's just known. Everything he does is Chicago. He just won the last championship that he's carrying right now in Chicago. So, and in fact, I think he won that on the eclipse of the heart woman's death. No, he won that 2 days before she died. It was in Chicago he won that. And it just so happens that the eclipse is 37 days later, and Chicago equals 37. And Pope Leo from Chicago is exactly 3,700 weeks old tomorrow, on the same day that's 37 days after the championship was won in Chicago. And remember, WrestleMania this year was CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. I mean, come on. Like, right after the Pope, the first WrestleMania after the Pope gets selected from Chicago, the main event is a guy from Chicago versus Roman. It's just, and so again, but another thing, this Born of Osiris, I got really into this after I found this. I might do a decode on it once I put more pieces together, but I mean, Born of Osiris, what's that? Horus. Horus is born of Osiris. So,
King Bags says that Chicago quarterback is making the Osiris pose on new Madden game.
No way, really?
I'm going to pull that up, see if we can find it.
Oh, my goodness.
What's his name again? Caleb Williams?
Madden 2027 cover? Oh, he is. Oh, my goodness. One of the, I don't know if this is the
shout
official
out King
one.
Bags. That's a good one.
Maybe there's a few different official covers because I'm seeing 3 here, but still, I mean, what was I just showing you? I was just showing you CM Punk. I didn't even know this. He's literally making those. Oh my goodness. So there you go. Chicago and Osiris. There's a riddle for everyone to follow that should already be clear. We shouldn't even need to doubt it at this point. I've already shown 3 things. I've shown the gematria connection. I've shown you CM Punk. I've shown you Born of Osiris from Chicago. And now I've shown you this game that's coming out, which literally shows that. Again, this is the occult Osiris Rising. If you just look at the pose. Okay, so. And
I got a quick question. Would you guys say that this is the same or different than like the Black Panther Wakanda pose? Because that one's with the closed fists and the open hands, and I was just curious if either of you guys had anything you could elaborate on with regards to that? I mean, I would say that those are two different poses because that's a pretty big difference.
They probably do mean different things, but I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
But they probably do. They do mean something different.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's probably something to the differences between it, but I think the main point of this whole pose is the crossing of the arms.
I bring that up too, just because I'm pretty sure they are coming out with like a new Black Panther movie at some point. That was like a big deal that they announced like who the new Black Panther was going to be, I believe. But anyways.
Yeah, well, this makes me think of Obama also being from Chicago and his connection with the Egyptian Akhenaten, and all connects with the Egyptian stuff, right? But yeah, so I mean, just a lot of different angles to look at here. I mean, from the Chicago thing, and you know, just the fact that it equals Osiris, it really caught my attention. And there's even, if you go to the University of Chicago, guess what their journal's called? Journal of University of Chicago. Where is it? It's called Osiris. Okay, so there's enough evidence. I've proven my point. The Journal of the University of Chicago is called Osiris. Osiris was cut into 14 pieces, Pope Leo the 14th, right? So yeah, I mean so yeah, this is a riddle we should be able to follow from here on out. I mean, it should be something that I don't know exactly. There's probably something I'm even missing as to why Chicago is so connected to Osiris, but they're obviously showing you that there's something there. And is it just the gematria? Is that the base for it? I don't know. I mean, but there's probably something else. Also, what else? Just to go off that topic. Yeah, Pope Leo is going to be 3,700 weeks old tomorrow on the first eclipse since he became Pope, and Dog Star 37, Pope Leo 37, Sirius 37 on the keypad cipher. It's also 462 days after he was elected, Dog Star 462, Lionsgate 462. So this whole thing was serious. Remember, Pope Leo or Pope Francis died 478 days before the eclipse, Sirius 478. He was elected 462 days before the eclipse, Dog Star 462. So the whole thing is about Sirius, but it all goes on the eclipse date. So what a powerful day it is tomorrow. I mean, you got a Sirius rising in Chicago and Rome. If you look it up, tomorrow is the first day that Sirius will be rising at the dawn in Chicago and Rome. And then, you know, you have tomorrow's Chicago's founding anniversary as a town. You have the eclipse and you have the two asteroids. You also have a planetary thing going on. I think there's a lot going on tomorrow. So it's a huge day. It's the first eclipse over mainland Europe since like 27 years. So just a huge day tomorrow, just symbolically. But I think, again, the biggest things have already happened. We just had that Spain border thing, which was also a tribute to this eclipse. Think about how eclipses are about two entities crossing their borders. You know, in the sky, you know, the sun and the moon their borders are merging, right? So think about it, the border controversy. I think that was pretty interesting connection to think about. And a few more things. Rambo was mentioning the 1919. That's an eclipse code because the 1331, remember, the 1331 is the year that there was an eclipse in the year 1331. It was on the date November 30th. And it was the longest eclipse over land. And it was in the year 1331.
Goes back to that 8/8 as well, 19/8 prime.
Right. So yeah, 1331. So 1331 eclipse. This is something Derek's done work on. If you do the gematria of the entire verse of Revelation 6:12 with the verse in front of it, it sums to 1331. That's the verse that talks about a blood moon and an eclipse. It talks about a blood moon and a solar eclipse in that verse, and an earthquake, which is why I believe we just got an earthquake yesterday, paying tribute to that verse. But 1331 is the number of eclipse. I've shown this multiple times in this month even, and Derek's documented this 1,000 times over. But so 1331, when you type out, I believe when you type out the number 1331, I think it equals 1919. Let me see if I have it in my history, because I can't remember if it's the, yeah. So if you type out the number 1331, it equals 1919. And so Derek has documented this before with the sun card. Even if you go to his original post on this eclipse code, this 1331, he mentions the number 1919, and he mentions the sun tarot card. It's literally in his post. And this was, I mean, how long ago? In fact, I should probably just pull that up real fast. I can just pull up his blog and see if I can find that post, because that's one of his main things. Derek's taking a little break right now, but I'm kind of taking over the eclipse code, I guess, for him for now. But yeah, there's the 1331. The eclipse in 1331 was solely over land, which was on November 30th. November 30th equals 1331, just like 1331 eclipse. When you merge those numbers together, you get 133, which equals 1331, and you get 331, which equals 1331. But look, this is his post from May 23rd, 2022. But he already knew this before this, I think. But yeah, look what he's showing. He's showing the solar eclipse, the sun card, and he's showing the 1919. And Rambo just talked about that. So, yeah, this has been documented by Derek, and 1331 minutes is 22 minutes 11 seconds. That's interesting. Or 22:11 is the time. So my point with talking about that, though, real fast, was that tomorrow is, if you go from Pope Francis' death to the eclipse, what are the odds that it just happens to be 1 year, 3 weeks, or 1 year, 3 months, 3 weeks, and 1 day since Pope Francis died? Again, this eclipse, for those people who are going to come and say, well, nothing happened on the eclipse. It already happened, folks. It already happened. Again, 478 days sums to 1 year, 3 months, 3 weeks, 1 day. Sirius is rising tomorrow in Rome. Sirius equals 478. The eclipse code is 1331. And you got that code also perfectly connected. It's even 1 year, 3 months, and 22 days. So you even got the skull and bones code. So it's clear. An eclipse is like somebody coming over somebody else, right? So the Pope has been eclipsed. And remember, J.D. Vance was the last one to see Pope publicly alive. When is his birthday? August 2nd. August 2nd is the Egypt eclipse next year. So they paid tribute to that eclipse too, by Pope Francis dying and seeing J.D. Vance. And man, there's something else I wanted to say too that was really important that I just forgot. Oh man. Shoot. There was something really important. The whole thing was I was getting to one point. Now I've forgotten it.
It's all good. It happens.
Shoot. Let me see if I can refresh my mind here about what I was looking at. Um, oh, and let's not forget. This is not my main point I was trying to get to, but let's not forget that tomorrow is 9/101 days after 9/11. And remember, what was the dog that died on 9/11? Sirius. 2 becoming 1 on 9/11, an eclipse.
You could also say today, technically, if you include the end date, right?
Right. Also today,
and the rule of Khalil.
Right. Also, somebody in my last stream pointed out something while I was on my last stream. We found it out, but there's this actress from the Weapons movie. Remember the Weapons movie released on 8/8 last year, on the Lionsgate last year.
Yeah.
And what are the odds that the actress who plays the witch in that movie, like the main villain witch, she's turning 9/11 months old today? So that's interesting. She's lining up with 9/11 being 9101. And she was in a movie called Weapons. So yeah, today's Hulk Hogan's birthday. Oh, remember what he talked about? He said the towers would come crumbling down. So yeah, it's a huge. It wasn't that interesting. 9/11 to Hulk Hogan's birthday today is 9101, and he's the one that said the towers would come crumbling down. And the 101 is serious, as Rambo and Casey Jones have rightly pointed out before. You got the serious connection here. You got not only do you have the 9/11, but you have the serious, the twin pillars with the O in between, which is like that like the Masonic tracing board with the Sirius in between. You know, like how perfect. It represents Sirius and 9/11 in one number. So that wasn't what I was going to say, but that's another important point to think about. Tomorrow is George Soros' birthday, and the Soros series is the eclipse. Soros. The Soros number. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Okay, finally I remember what I was going to say. The 136 eclipse, the 1919. That's what I was going to say. So back to the 1919. The eclipse code connects to that, as Derek points out. Well, as I was looking into this show, Heroes, I found something pretty remarkable too there. I'm going to have to do a decode about this, but they paid tribute to a very important eclipse. In fact, this eclipse, the 1919 eclipse, that, man, it's not coming up on my search history. Einstein. I don't remember what the name of the book was exactly. All right, so there's a book. I mean, this is a real thing, but there's a book called No Shadow of a Doubt. It's kind of how I'm feeling right now about how important eclipses are. I have no shadow of a doubt now. But look what it says. The 1919 eclipse that confirmed Einstein's theory of relativity. This is a true story. They sent 2 ships, get it? 2 ships to see one eclipse. They sent 2 to see one eclipse. They sent 2 different ships to view this eclipse. And supposedly, in 1919, British scientists led extraordinary expeditions to Brazil and Africa to test Albert Einstein's revolutionary new theory of general relativity. The result ushered in a new era and made Einstein a global celebrity. Now, Back to the Future, the dog is Einstein. Einstein equals Sirius. So that there's so much you could connect here. But you got the eclipse code, you got the Sirius connection again. Einstein equals 95, like Sirius equals 95. The Einstein dog in Back to the Future becomes the first dog to time travel. Now, remember, when is the eclipse next year? The Egypt eclipse. August 2nd. J.D. Vance's birthday. This is Eclipse Saros 136. You see that? This is the big number I've talked about. The Jesuits were founded right before a eclipse from Saros 136. Donald Trump's birthday was the first eclipse from this Saros back in the year 1360. And so next year's the 136 eclipse over Egypt. But I'll give you guys one guess. What number this eclipse was? Well, you don't even need to guess. You already know where I'm going. What was the Saros number of this 1919 eclipse? Let's go back to it. 529. 1919. And then that, whoops. Oh, there you go. It was the same family. It was that 136 eclipse. So, wow. I mean, the 136 eclipse was this eclipse that this famous eclipse that proved Einstein's theory of relativity supposedly, and it was the 136 eclipse, which is what I've been harping on since I first discovered that. Well, and Derek's been on it well before me, I guess. So, but the 136 eclipse, it's probably one of the most important Saros eclipses, because again, each eclipse Saros has a different number, but this seems to be one of the, if not the most important number. And so it kind of all ties together. The 1919 stuff that Rambo was talking about. And again, it's over Egypt. And what was Rambo talking about in connection with this? It was all about Egyptian gods: Horus, Isis, Osiris. And yeah, I think that's pretty much proving my main points. I was going to put this together in an actual decode with slides and everything and do my own video. I probably still will, but I guess you guys get a sneak peek here. Also, shout out to my friend, Someone. He's got a Reddit page. He doesn't have a YouTube, but he has a Reddit. His name's Someone. And he filled me in. Just another importance of the eclipse. There's a rap duo, hip hop duo called Clips. And they got their name. They actually originally wanted to name themselves, shows it here, Full Eclipse. That was their original idea. But then they just shortened it to Clips. But guess who's the first ever hip hop band to perform at the Vatican? It's this group. And when did they do it?
Wow.
When did they do it? When did Clips perform at Vatican? One day before Pope Leo's birthday. His first birthday as Pope. How about that? Another tribute to him eclipsing and becoming the Pope, him eclipsing Pope Francis. And that, so that they become the first ever hip hop group to ever perform at the Vatican. And they're essentially called Eclipse. And just another importance of how much they pay tribute to eclipses and that symbolism. And again, one day before Pope Leo's birthday, I mean, why did they choose that day to make them the first? It does make me think of Obama again, though, because Obama, he's connected to Chicago like Pope Leo, and Obama also likes hip hop. And, I don't know about Pope Leo. I doubt Pope Leo listens to hip hop, but who knows? Maybe he does. But yeah, so that's my gist here. And again, shout out to Someone for sharing this with me just a few hours ago while I was sleeping. He texted me this. Tomorrow is 333 days since they performed. So from their performance to this eclipse tomorrow is 333 days. That is has been a huge number this year, actually, with certain things with the death of what's his name, the alien disclosure guy. He was all about the 333.
Wilcock, David Wilcock.
Right. Yeah, that's what his name was. So, and remember, right around that time, we had that pyramid shooting, which was connected to the pyramid eclipse, but it was in Mexico. It was a pyramid shooting in Mexico. But I connected that to the pyramid eclipse in Egypt because it was connected. But that was connected to David.
What was the pyramid called again?
Pyramid of the sun or the moon, one of the two. It was pyramid of the moon.
I thought it was the moon.
Yeah, so they were telling you about an eclipse, the moon eclipsing the sun again. So I have to go back and look at this. I have a hard time remembering everything. I have so much. Some people have better memories than me. I always have to go back and look at my work and remind myself sometimes because it's a lot to remember. But at the end of the day, I think that's my main point, and hopefully that was understandable in general. And just to pointing to the importance of tomorrow's eclipse symbolically, in so many ways, the serious stuff and the eclipse stuff and the Egypt.
Yeah, 100%. Anything else you wanted to add to that, Rambo? We are just right at that 2-hour mark, so I know we probably want to wrap it up here. I know it's getting late for KODI as well.
Like real quick, I could just add some 1919s, some real quick 1919s. In baseball, what do you think of when you hear 1919?
Oh, yeah.
The 1919 Chicago White Sox season with their 19th season in the American League. Not enough 19s. It was the 1919 season for the Chicago White Sox, which is the White Sox 19th season in the American League. How many games did they win? They won 88 games. We're just talking about that. We talk about the Lion King was 88 minutes. Lionel Messi, the Lion King, 88. The Chicago White Sox fan, Pope, became Pope after the previous Pope died at 88 years old. All the numbers are here. Just in that, the 1919 Chicago White Sox season was their 19th season in the American League, and they won 88 games.
And once again, 19, the 8th prime.
Yeah, and they won 88 games to advance to the World Series. And why are they so significant? Because some of the players were found to have taken money from gamblers in return for throwing the series, known as the Black Sox scandal. Had permanent ramifications for baseball, including the establishment of the Office of Commissioner. So the Office of Commissioner of Baseball happened. That office was created after this scandal. So the Black Sox scandal of 1919 is huge.
That is wild to me, Rambo. Yeah, thank you for making sure to share this because
that's perfect because I talked about this week. I talked about the White Sox with Obama's birthday, and they paid big tribute to Obama on his birthday. They put picture number 65 on the mound on Obama's 65th birthday, and he came into the game with 65 career starts. I mean, what are the odds?
Yeah, and shout out to BPM. Just pointed out that the White Sox lost to the Reds tonight. Like we're talking about this particular matchup. That's interesting.
Yeah, and they lost to the Red Sox. They lost to the Red Sox.
The White Sox lost to the Reds today. Sorry.
Yeah, and they lost to the Red Sox on Obama's birthday. So something with the red and the white.
Well, and then Rambo mentioned, this whole gambling part of it too. Notice that in this World Series they lost to the Reds, right? Well, we know about Pete Rose.
Yeah.
And then it boomerangs back to Chicago though, because think about what we talked about earlier this year with the retirement jersey of Derrick Rose in Chicago, and don't forget about Catherine O'Hara. The motherly figure of Chicago with the Home Alone movies. She also played Moira Rose, right? We talked about that too. So, the last thing I was going to say, that the White Sox also just got the #1 overall pick of the draft.
Oh yeah.
So I would say, in light of this particular piece right here, I'm sure there's got to be something with who they drafted.
How did they get the #1 pick? Are they that bad? I thought they had a pretty
You know,
decent.
last year they were one of the worst teams in the major leagues. I mean, this you don't I don't know. This has happened a lot now. The Patriots are one of the worst teams in the NFL. They make it a Super Bowl the following year. The White Sox were one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball, and now they're contenders for the World Series. I mean, I don't know. So now one of the contenders for the World Series might actually end up with the number one pick. Teams are going from. Usually, you're supposed to. You finish. You're one of the worst teams. You get high draft picks, and then eventually you become good. You don't become good before getting draft picks. You don't go from being the worst to the best without any draft.
Yeah,
picks. How does that happen?
The White Sox drafted number one overall prospect, UCLA shortstop Roche or Rock Chalowski. So he played for UCLA. He's a shortstop. ROCH. But that's his middle name. So his full name is Daniel Roche or Rosh Chalowski.
It's funny. Last week I was talking about the cockroach, how it's in Men in Black. Yeah. And that's the cockroach revolution. Yeah. I think the roach is the thing. It actually ties into the ET thing. I actually think it ties. I showed last week how a roach, it ties into the ET thing with the Men in Black and insectoids, which is a species of extraterrestrials, which the government, maybe they will come out with it. Men in Black is actually based on, to some degree, we don't know what, some degree of actual reports from classified information. So the roach thing is very significant. Now we're seeing roaches have never been talked about positively until today. For those who are not familiar, in India, there's a huge moment of the activism in India, very, very significant country in the world, and they call it the cockroach revolution, where they're rising up against, I guess, the elites and the system, which is not, it's not providing for. This is a worldwide phenomenon. Power and wealth being consolidated in a few elites, where they're rising up and they're calling it the cockroach revolution. Since when were cockroaches ever thought of positively? Well, since we're starting to have disclosure of insectoids possibly being a real thing, and benevolent insectoids. I mean, Men in Black, they shoot the insectoids and kill them, but yeah, the U.S. government's not benevolent. I wouldn't trust what the U.S. government. If the U.S. government's against some alien race, I'd trust their alien race more. Like, why would you be going after them? You're trying to do transhumanism and the neural lace and trying to chip people, all that stuff. That's not the entity I would trust. Nonetheless, so the 1919 is with the White Sox and the mayor coming from the White Sox. Being a White Sox fan. So this is another thing that ties in.
You want to hear another 1919? I just thought of this with BPM. Didn't mention it directly, but Sox like 6 or sex. SS is the position 6. Well, S is the 19th letter, so there's another 1919 right there. The Chicago White Sox just drafted a shortstop. The acronym is okay. The acronym is SS. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a good one.
So this actually ties into the movie Field of Dreams. A super classic movie, like considered, I think, arguably, there are very few sports movies that are considered on that level. That's one of the best sports movies in general. And not just subjectively, it's considered one of the best, if not the best sports movie. Field of Dreams is about the 1919 Chicago White Sox, because the face of the Black Sox scandal is shoeless Joe Jackson. You can say Joe Jackson 10-10. 1919 is like a 10-10 as well. Shoeless Joe Jackson is the face of the Black Sox. He's resurrected in Field of Dreams. Let's look at the resurrection theme as well. And what's the release date of Field of Dreams? Okay, let me look this up. Oh, that's right. Field of Dreams was released on April 21st. Do I have the graphic? Yes, I do. Field of Dreams, which is about the 1919 Black Sox, who come out of the cornfield. They come back to life from the cornfield in Iowa. Field of Dreams was released April 21st, which is related to the Pope. This 106 is interesting because the World Cup winning goal was scored in the 106th minute. That's interesting. But yeah, April 21st, the Pope, the anniversary. No, the Pope Francis died of on the anniversary.
Sorry, Rambo. Can you scroll back up just a hair? Yeah, King Bags. Oh yeah, that's a great one too. King Bags pointed out the hangman pose with this one too.
Yeah, I've done several decodes on the.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Field of Dreams.
That one. Was it on the Patreon?
No, I did that when I had my YouTube channel. It was on the YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
I still have it in the archive. It's in my archive. I have a lot of over 200 videos in the archive. I do still have it. Maybe I should resurrect the decode. I mean, it's buried. Yeah. The way Patreon does the archive, it's impossible to search. But it is deep. It's very deep. This would be a good time to bring it back. But it is about the 1919 Black Sox, and it was released in April 21st. I just want to look up real quick what Joe Jackson, Shoeless Joe Jackson's birthday is. I thought it was significant. Oh, July. Okay. Yeah, it's more complicated. It's significant, but it's a whole nother decode. Yeah. But yeah, Shoeless Joe Jackson. He's known for, Jackson's often remembered for his association with the Black Sox scandal. So yeah, but he was in Field of Dreams. So yeah, that's the other 19. So just real quick, I'll end it here. Is the reason I brought up Black Sox too is because there's a story in the DC area. Remember the sandwich thing, which I talked about? Some of these little stories are not so little after all. That sandwich throwing incident in DC turned out to be pretty big. A lot of predictions could have been made out of that one, the green and yellow and the underdog. There's another incident that happened in Chicago. A man with a goat was detained, and now not in Chicago, I'm sorry, in Washington, D.C. This happened on August 1st, but he had a pet goat. But the GOAT, Lionel Messi is the GOAT. Chicago, who's the GOAT in Chicago? Michael Jordan, he lost his father. The GOAT lost his father. Now the other GOAT just lost his father. Who else is a GOAT who's the father in the movie? Him. It's about the GOAT and the sacrifice of the father for greatness. So this is not us saying this. Hollywood is saying this. That a GOAT in sports, in the movie Him, this was a Super Bowl winning quarterback GOAT, and the sacrifice of the GOAT's father. This is in the movie. It's not just so he happened to die and conspiracy theorists are associated. No, that's in the movie. People say, oh, that's just a movie, a cheesy movie, they'll say. That's not such a cheesy movie. It ends a little silly, but that's on purpose because they're hiding truth in there. So that when you point to that movie, people say, oh, that's a ridiculous movie. So I know what they're doing. It's very clever. It is about a GOAT, greatest of all time athlete, this time a quarterback in the movie Him, and the sacrifice of the father of the GOAT in exchange for the greatness of his son. In this instance, it's a quarterback in the NFL. It's a thing. So the movie Him, the Michael Jordan's his history and narrative, his life story, and now Lionel Messi, GOATs, and the loss of their father. And that's in the movie Him. But so there's this story. I'll go more into it on my channel. This is something that those who follow my channel can look forward to. There was an incident which is not popular across the country, but in Washington, D.C., it is a major incident. This man with his pet goat in Washington, D.C., who rides the subway in D.C., the goat was on the subway. It rode the Green Line subway. It's very significant. Green Line, Osiris is green. One of those accused of killing Michael Jordan's father, the father of the goat, was named Green. But he's on the Green Line with his pet goat. And now his social media has blown up. His name is Kyrie Givens. He's in the news, but in D.C., not nationally. Only in D.C. you're seeing this. Just like the sandwich thrower, it has bigger implications, but I'll go more into this. It's the physical features of the goat. When animals have this kind of pattern on them, they refer to them euphemistically as socks, like dogs have it, cats have it. They call them socks, just the pattern. The goat has black socks. which ties into the Black Sox of 1919 White Sox scandal, and this all ties into the death of the father of the GOAT.
That's very interesting too, because just the basketball head in me made me think about the Fab Five, the Michigan Fab Five back in the day, who didn't end up winning a championship, but one of their big things were baggy shorts and black socks. And then you fast forward to right now, 2026, Michigan just won the college basketball championship. So there could be something there too.
Now remember, since you bring that up, GOAT has two meanings, like opposite meanings. A GOAT is the greatest of all time, or you're the player who cost the team. I guess the most famous would be Bill Buckner.
Like a scapegoat.
No, if you're the GOAT, it means your fault. Your team lost.
Mm-hmm.
If a player is responsible for a team losing, they're the GOAT. It's like a scapegoat. The most famous one you can think of, Scott Norwood,
mm-hmm.
who lost the Super Bowl on. He had a chance to win the Super Bowl with the Buffalo Bills. It came down to him hitting a field goal. They use the term GOAT for something like that. Bill Buckner with the Boston Red Sox. Yeah. He's the GOAT. So a GOAT has two meanings. You're either the greatest of all time, achiever, or you're an underachiever where you cost your team. It has two meanings. And since this, off the cuff, since you mentioned the Michigan team, remember the Fab Five, how they lost the final?
Well, yeah, you're talking about when Chris Webber called that timeout?
He called a timeout when there were no timeouts.
When there were no timeouts, yep. Technical foul, then they go to the line, yep.
Chris Webber was the GOAT in that instance. He's a famous GOAT. That is a very famous, very famous instance where athletes, they don't perform or make mistakes in the championship game. Chris Webber is up there. It wasn't the championship game, or was that the Final Four game? Or was that the final game? I don't remember. But anyway, since you mentioned the Fab Five, Chris Webber's a GOAT.
Yeah, Chris Webber. Well, and then talk about Rose. We were just talking about Derrick Rose, but you got Jalen Rose, who was on that team as well, and he's very famous for being on that Raptors team, guarding Kobe the night that he scored 81 in his 666 career game. So
yes, and Rose, the symbol of the rose, is also associated with secrecy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'll just end that, which I do talk about. And secrecy, the symbol of the fingers to the lips, is about secrecy. It's about Horus. The same symbol for Horus is the same symbol for secrecy, which is this hush symbol. Rihanna has a tattoo on her finger, SHHH, hush. You can see the background of the roses. So, and this scene here is a very iconic movie scene. This is from Rosemary's Baby. This is Mia Farrow. She actually should have won an Oscar. Most people, the consensus is she should have won an Oscar for that. This is a very iconic scene. This is when she sees her baby, which they don't show it, but her reaction. It takes a very good actress to do that. So I'll just leave it there. This is my part 2, which will come out. But since we're on the rose is that rose symbolism is a big part of the whole thing.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that, Rambo. As we close things out really quick, the last thing I'll leave with you guys, final plug on myself, AJ Balll Don't Lie. I also have a Patreon. The link is in the description, patreon.com/OnTheMoneyball. I put out a free pick back on August 8th. It's funny because we were talking about 19, the 8th prime. I just wanted to share this with you guys really quick. I said, let's get happy on Happiness Happens Day. Shout out to Ricky on this one. She really turned me on to this whole connection here, and it was amazing because notice that the date, August 8th, is the date written 8-8. You have a player for the Chicago Cubs by the name of Ian Happ, spelt with 2 P's, just like happiness, just like happens. So on 8-8, Happiness Happens Day, you have Happ playing, wearing number 8. Exactly 88 days after his MLB debut anniversary. And then, of course, he can pick up his 19th his 19th season home run, which is the 8th prime number. But words like Happ and Kansas City, who they're playing against, are the 19th prime. So it trickles down. And then lastly here, I just pointed out that it was also the 94th home run of his career on the road, where home run equals 94. And then, in the betting world, when you really like a player to hit a home run, there's always, quite a bit of value there. So plus 500, but you could also be more conservative, and you can spread your chips and essentially just expect Ian Happ, I think his name is, to have a good day. So, which he did. He ended up hitting a home run in the 6th inning. But anyways, that's all I got. I will then, let's see, let me get the slides back up here really quick. But Cody, I know it's late over where you're at, so I'll pass things off to you. Final thoughts, and let people know where they can find you and support you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, AJ. Appreciate the stream. Thank you, Rambo, for all the great shares and knowledge as usual. And glad to be here with you guys. And I appreciate all the people that watched also. And another good stream. If you guys want to find me, Decoding with Cody, YouTube, and buymeacoffee.com/decodingwithcody is the link. And I look forward to more streams in the future in next week. So should be able to make it again. Hopefully I don't oversleep, but try not to do that. But sometimes last week a storm woke me up and my alarm got messed up and then I slept through it. So, but yeah, thank you guys for everything. And I'll just be jumping off here about right now but I appreciate you guys and look forward to next week.
Sounds good, Codes. We appreciate you, man, and everything you do for the show. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and hopefully everyone has a good night.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks. Have a great night.
Yeah, that's it. Rambo, take us home.
Yeah, again, I'll repeat what Cody said. I echo the sentiments. Thank you to him and his great knowledge that he shared. It was great seeing again how people look at things from different angles, and their codes can validate the other code with the synchronicity. And so it's a fascinating thing to see every week, and some of the synchronicities that are observed, great observations by those who contributed, and even those who did not contribute but watched. Thankful to them as well, UAJ. And this is where I can find patreon.com/thetruthcodes. I'll be putting my part 2 of the baby with the bathwater up tomorrow. And I'll be working on the other story with the Black Sox and the goat, the pet goat in Washington, D.C. Think of the pet goat. That's the book that George Bush was reading on 9/11. That's a very significant event. I'll be expanding on that. People can look into that on their own. Maybe they'll find some things. But yeah, that's what I'm working on. And thanks again. I'm also on Instagram.com/thetruthcodes.
Spelt exactly as it sounds, you guys. Yeah, thank you again to everybody. Real MVP as always. Shout out to the chat. Thank you guys very much for the contributions. If you haven't done so already, always appreciate the like and subscribe. Help grow the channel. Really means a lot. But without further ado, make sure that you guys take care of yourselves, and we will see you guys again on the next one. Peace.
Right. Good night.
Training in the Palladium gymnasium, ultimate battle in the extraterrestrial stadium. It really just be the Mediterranean Transylvanians.